Hi guys, welcome back to the next part of our series. Today we're going to continue with chapter 3, and now we're going to be focusing on the arm section of the character. There's a couple of bandages and things that we have to do, and of course we have the hands. So I was mentioning that I was thinking about what was the best way to do the hands, or to show you how to do the hands, and there's a couple of options. So first of all, if we take a look at the high polys, this guy's right here, we need to see if we can completely breach both elements, because we already have the low poly for the body, and it might be a good idea to bridge this, even if the textures are not complete here, which they're not, like the model is not like merged together. As long as we can create a single cage, that's gonna be fine, and I think that's the best approach that we can do right now. The reason being that even though we're gonna have the bandages covering it, we want the body to be one single, like, unified topology. So that means that we need to do the hands right here. Before we jump onto Blender to do the hands, so that I can show you some cool stuff, I just want to go back to my low poly, and I just want to count how many divisions we had here. So it was 24, which tells me that, if I'm not mistaken, we had 12, right? I think I had 12 divisions. Why is the 12th division important? Because since we're eventually going to be smoothing this guy as well, we want to keep it low so that when we smooth it, it's easy to connect both parts of the character. So we select the hands. Now the hands are symmetrical. I remember them. I remember doing them symmetrically. So if we want to reduce the stress on Blender, we could export just a single hand. In this case, it's not even 100,000 polygons, so it's perfectly fine. I'm just gonna export the selection. We're gonna go to the retopo chain, or to the retopo here, and we're just gonna call this Thyros hands. And we're gonna go to Blender. Now, some of you might be like, why are we going to Blender? I hate Blender. Blender sucks. It's not that it sucks, and I don't think it sucks. I actually think it's a really strong software. And especially, you're going to see after we do this, the way we're going to be able to very quickly do the hands is just like amazing. You guys are not going to believe it. So here's what we're going to do. We're, of course, going to go to our project, to our retopo files, and we're going to bring in the hands. They should have the proper scale, which in this case they do. Again, if we want to reduce, I think I do want to reduce the general, like, problems that we might have here. So I'm just going to grab one face. I'm going to press number 3, grab one face, and there's the L shortcut, which is the linked. I'm going to press X and delete faces. And that way we pretty much delete all of those faces. We select this guy, and now we're going to go to Retopo Flow, and I'm going to say add active. It's going to create a new Retopo Flow file. It's creating a temporal file because I haven't saved this one. And we're good to go. We're good to start. So why is it that I want to do this? Well, because it's the Loops tool, guys. The Loops tools is just so amazing. I really hope Maya adds one of this soon, because it's just so great. What I'm going to do here is I'm literally just going to draw a loop. Oop. Yep. Give me just 1 second here. Doesn't seem to be working. Okay. Loops. Hey, why can't I see the loop? That's really weird. I'm not sure if it bugged. It's weird. Oh, sorry. My bad. It's not the loops. It's the contours. The contours is the one that I was taking about. So you do this. As you can see, I just create a line around the wrist, especially if I follow the direction of the wrist like this. And I'm going to be able to control how many loops I want, which, if you remember, we just mentioned, we want 10. So we could do this, and look at that. We immediately get a ring. Instead of having to create the cylinder and then do all of this movements and stuff, we just do that. Just 10 and 10, and that's it. And I'm going to do the exact same thing back here. So I'm going to press Control on the border of the thumb, and I'm going to bring this all the way down to 8. 8 is like the magic number for fingers. And as you can see, I can very quickly create the finger section. Same thing here. Let's make sure to click outside, or just change tools. Click outside and then just go back to the contours. So it's 1. And we bring this back to 10. 2. Or sorry, not 10. 8. So 2. Then like 3. And to the tip, like that, 4. We're going to move some of this, guys. Don't worry. Like, this is not the final way that they're going to be organized. And then again, just click somewhere else. Go to contours again. There we go. Control. There we go. We go to 8. 8. 8. 8. Then double click. 8. Imagine having to draw all of this. Like normally for the fingers inside of Maya, I would do like this square options, like just the blocks and then divide and smooth. It just takes forever. If you're doing this with the ReTopoFlow, it's so much faster. Go 8. 8. As you can see, I'm moving the camera a little bit so that we try to find like the perfect section. There we go. And that's it. We've just finished the main section of the fingers. Again, we're going to smooth this out because we do want the fingers to be a little bit denser than usual. And then we're going to go from there. But I'm going to show you now, we're going to go to the PolyPen, how we're going to build the tip of the finger. So for the tip of the finger, we're actually going to push this guy back a little bit so that we can go to create this sort of loop. Like that. See that? So we close the tip. Like this. It's kind of like a box, if you know what I mean. It's going to be this little point there. And the reason why we're doing this is because on the center line here, where two fingers meet, we want that center line, which is this one right here, to be bridged with the next center line. That way, again, when we do our retopology, we're going to be able to retopologize this really fast. So that's the center line right here. We keep going. That's the face right there. This one goes over here. This one over here. This one over here. The little point as close as possible to the center. Then that's the middle line. We go from there to there. Hopefully you guys can see what I mean by this. Like we're creating a line that's going to cut through the center of all of the fingers. And by doing that, we're going to save ourselves a lot of pain on the UV process. We definitely need a little bit more resolution on the fingernails and on the bed of the fingers and stuff. That's fine. We're going to adjust all of that. We just want to make sure that all of these guys are flowing and going in the right direction. There we go. Now in the center here, select the edge, control, switch to the next one, select the edge and control. There we go. Now from the thumb, this is a tricky one, because again, this is the face, right? The sort of like the loop of the face that we're going for. Careful there. There we go. There we go. There we go. So this is the middle line. This middle line will do a jump. We're going to do 1. And then we're going to do 2. Okay. This is important because these two guys right here are going to be part of the loops that are going to mark the difference between the connection of the fingers and stuff. Now we need to like do a little bit of cleanup here. So we might need to move some of these bits a little bit here and there. Try to make sure that they're following. For instance, on this guy right here, you can see it's not really following the line. So here's where the tweak brush is really good. Just tweak this so it follows a little bit nicer. And I personally like to add 2 loops to each section. But in this case, again, since we're keeping it low poly, I think 1 loop should be more than enough because we're going to smooth it. So I'm going to add 1 loop to each part. And when we smooth it, we should have double the amount of edges on all of the fingers, and that should like create or encompass the curvature a little bit better. Back in the day when performance was really important, we didn't have as much geometry as what we can do now with characters. There was a very common technique where you would add like 3 loops on the bendy part of the finger. We don't do that anymore, mainly because again we have all of the technology available to be able to have way more topology. So let's go now with the poly pen, and we need to complete this part right here. And what we need to do is we need to create a loop around the thumb. So I'm gonna change my poly pen to quad only, so that we can do this. Let's grab just a point. There we go. There we go. It's very important that we complete a loop here, which is kind of like the path that we have on the finger. There we go. So see how this is the loop. So this guy should be attached to that guy right there. And I know this is stretching the thumb a little bit too much, but again, think about the eventual what's the word? A smoothing that we're gonna have, and that should help us with the intensity there. From here, this face will continue a little bit like this, and eventually, as you can see right here, we want at least the center line of the finger. At least the center line of the finger, we want it to go there, like that. At least one line. Let's see if we can bring two here. It's a little bit stretched for my taste, but we can do it. Let's add one loop right there. There we go. And why is this important? Because eventually, again, on the UV side of things, we're gonna cut right there, and we're gonna cut the hand in half. So we want the center line of the fingers, which is these two lines right there. Let me use the tweak here. It's these two lines right here. We want those to connect to the side of this finger right here. Here things are getting a little bit too stretched, so I'm gonna just relax them and move them a little bit if needed. We also need to add, with the loops, one loop to the thumb. Yeah, something like that. And there we go. Now comes the interesting part. Here, we want to start bringing all of the loops that we have on the fingers back into or towards the hand. The problem, as you can already see, is that we have a lot of divisions on the fingers, right? Like we have 8 divisions for each finger, and we only have 10 divisions on the wrist. So we're gonna start to do, or we're gonna have to do, a lot of simplification methods. So I'm gonna show you how I like to do it. First, with the poly pen, I'm gonna bring out one loop. So the first loop, we're not gonna simplify. We're gonna keep this loop. Why? Because I wanna have enough resolution here on the knuckles and stuff for proper deformation and everything. So all of this first loop, it's just gonna be exactly the same. So it's gonna be like 8 per finger, pretty much. Go there, there, there. It's having a little bit of an issue there. There we go. There we go. And we can push it up a little bit like that. Now here, let's do a little bit of relaxation. Here, we are going to start with the reduction process. And the way I like to do this is following this section that we have in the middle of the fingers. So I'm going to use my poly pen again. I'm going to bring this out. I'm going to bring this out. And I'm going to bring this out. Same thing on the inside. We're going to bring this out to the second rank. Like this, or to the next line. And what's going to happen here is we're going to bring it out again. And we're going to push the vertex out. Like this. And as you can see, we are creating this interesting effect where we create this loop that saves us, or should save us, quite a bit of space. Yes, we're going to get a couple of stars, but they're going to be closer to the knuckles than they're to the fingers. So they're going to be on sections that the fingers usually don't bend as much. Some people like to bring this all the way to like this upper side. I think that's fine. Because again, it's not a section that you would normally bend as much. And as you can see, we're reducing from 3 to 1. So it's a really, really heavy and interesting reduction. So we go here. This one goes there. We just bridge. This one goes there. And we just bridge. And as you can see, we finish the reduction to 4. Over here is where things are going to get a little bit tricky, but let's finish the reduction on this like inside part first. I also like this this section, this palm section right there, to use it as a reduction place, because that the same sort of what's the word? The same sort of fold that naturally happens on the hand really helps with this sort of thing. There we go. See how natural this just falls down right there? And all of this extra geometry that we have here is going to be really helpful for the elements. Now here, I'm not sure what calculation I did wrong. As you can see, we need one more resolution, or we need one more option. Here's where I would definitely use the knife to add just like a little triangle right there, okay? Because I don't want to have the triangles close to where the fingers bend. I'll rather have it here on the inside of the palm. That way we should be able to go there. Push this to the side a little bit. There and there, okay? We can relax that area a little bit. Same for this one right here. And again, once we smooth, all of that's going to disappear, so I'm not too worried about that. Let's go to the poly pen. Push this out. There we go. Push this out. There we go. There we go. And there we go. Now, as you can see, we have a couple of faces over here. So let's start bringing them. So that's the natural flow of that face. That's the natural flow of that face. Natural flow of that face. And again, we just keep going. Just follow the natural flow of the faces. But we're going to encounter a couple of issues. And this video, by the way, is going to go a little bit longer than usual. I apologize for that, but I want to keep everything in the same one. So as you can see, this 3 can pretty much very easily fit this section right there. And then this one, again, since we don't want this thing to flow into the hand, we just had one more division there. And this thing's going to flow right there. Here, we're going to have our typical star, which is fine. Just go like that. Here we have another division. Let's just add the loop. That. There we go. We grab our poly pen. 1, 2. And here we can decide, do we want to like bring this with another loop or not? I don't think I want to add more loops if they're not necessary, because otherwise we could be creating spirals, and we know how dangerous those are. So let's just fill this in a little bit there. And for instance, here we need to increase, right? We need to do an increasing increase the division. So we do the thing that we already know how to do, which is we create this funky little shape right here. And then from here, we just create our extrusion. And we just follow the flow as nicely as we can. Okay, that's falling nicely. Here we have the center line, and we mentioned that we do want to try and keep the center line flowing as nice as possible to this area. So how can we do that? Well, we can do a little bit of reduction. We can do a loop right here. That one goes there. Here, we reduce, and we just keep a small little triangle right there. There we go. Remember, triangles are not bad, especially in those areas where they're not going to be moving as much. And this allows me to have one very clean straight line all the way to the end. Same thing here. Like, I don't like that. That's way, way too extreme. So I prefer a triangle right there. And I prefer a square right there. And we have 2 and we have 3 here. Can we do something? Yeah. We could simplify it over here. The triangle there hidden on the palm of the hand. And that way, with our poly pen, we should be able to just do this. Now here, can we do something here? Do we need to add another huge loop here? No. Let's just add a triangle. Again, another triangle. Let's go from there to there, for instance. And again, poly pen. And we're going to go from there to there. And from there to there. Over here, same deal. Triangle, perfectly fine. And there we go. Our hand is ready. So it took us 20 minutes, a little bit less than 20 minutes to finish a hand. Normally, a hand would take me I don't know, like a full hour, to be honest, because it takes forever. But thanks again to the contours, the polypan, the loops, all of the tools that we have right here, this hand is going to be perfectly fine. Let's very quickly exit this thing. I'm going to grab the object. I'm just going to export this file, export, FBX, go to our project, assets, retopo. Remember, we used the BRT, so we're going to use the same thing. It's going to be called Thyros hand VRT Blender retopo. Selected objects only. Don't forget this. Selected objects only. Very important. I sometimes forget, and it's awful when that happens, because then you re-import things over here, and you import a lot of stuff that you don't need. So we import hands BRT. Should be exactly where we left it. There we go. Look at that. A beautiful hand. And now it's just a matter of course, smoothing. So we smooth. We select the hand. We make the hand alive. And look at the resolution of the hands. This is great. Have enough topology and enough everything to really move things around and bend it and create a nice animation. So we grab this thing and we just say mesh conform. And look at how nice we follow the forms, the knuckles. Again, if a rigger gets this, this is more than enough. We don't need to add any of the fancy loops or anything. This should be more than enough to create the sort of deformation that we're expecting for a hand. The final part with the hand is going to be joining these two things. But as you can see, since we follow this perfectly, we have 20 sides right here, and we have 24 sides right here. We missed one face. I think I missed one face, but it's fine. We're going to delete this guy right here, maybe even this guy right here, to be honest. We're going to combine these two guys. Well, first of all, yeah, that's fine, because we can just delete the... This is why the symmetry line is so important, because we can just delete the symmetry line and then delete half the character. So we're going to grab both objects. We're going to combine. And the easiest way to fix this is just go to a place like this, collapse one face right there. Just kind of like make sure that they line up. Same thing like here. Just collapse that face again. So mesh tools or edit mesh, collapse. And then you select this edge and this edge. It should be the same amount of edges. And we just bridge. We have 20 edges here and 22. We might need to collapse a little bit more. So let's collapse like another one right there and there. So again, mesh tools and edit mesh, collapse. There we go. And now we bridge. There's a little bit of a funky thing right there. No big deal. Let's add two divisions. There we go. I'm just going to assign existing material, Lambert 1. And you can even, without having anything here, because if we try to smooth, it's going to look wrong. But if we just relax this without having any live surface mesh, it's just going to relax the whole topology a little bit as well. So it should merge things a little bit nicer. And look at that. They really clean effect. These triangles right there are not going to affect us whatsoever. And the reason why they won't affect us is because they're in an area that's not going to bend. The area that bends is this area right here, the wrist. This area right here is pretty much always a solid object. So mesh display, soften edge. And there we go. We can mirror this to the other side. And we have our hands ready for our character. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video, guys. I know we went a little bit longer than usual, but it's a really important part of the process, the hands, and they're ready. As you can see, these hands are looking very nice. They don't look like pizza hands or anything. They look quite well built. And in the next couple of videos, we're going to be focusing on the armor bits right here, all of these pieces. So hang on tight, and I'll see you back on the next video. Bye-bye.